morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy, Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. But today it's not just me yapping. I've got my friend, the man himself, Alex McQuirter. You saw him on Mind a Mansion earlier this week. You've been seeing him all over Player Profiler, helping us out in all sorts of ways. And, of course, you've seen him as the Dynasty Football Key on Twitter and YouTube and all sorts of other stuff. My man, Alex, is joining the show to break down all things trending fantasy football topics. It's going to be great. So take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alex! How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? Cheers. Got my
Cheers.
coffee ready. Hey, I'm awake, ready for some takes. Let's go.
What Star Wars character is that?
That's hey, you already know Darth Vader, or it's one of the stormtroopers actually, but
that's a
blacked out stormtrooper actually.
blacked out
so.
stormtrooper. Yeah, I was like, it looked like Vader, but then I don't think he had the green. As nerdy as I am, when I have guests on, you guys kind of get to see behind the scenes. I'm a geek. I worked at GameStop for 3 years.
Hey.
But for some reason, I never got into Star Wars, so I always ask, who is that?
But I also got a Who's Your Daddy mug with Vader face on it.
Very cool, very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. My sci-fi
fighter pilot. Hey, Dusty got us.
There we go. Shout out Dustin. Good morning, everyone here. We've got Jeff, we've got Donald, we've got Literature, we've got Hudson, we've got Mark, we've got Alex. We've got everyone here this morning. Shout out to you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening as well. I mean, we're only 2 minutes in, but hey, we can tell it's a great episode. So go ahead and hit that like button. Hit the subscribe to both Player Profiler and Player Profiler News. I got you, Alex. We're going to get all these things done. So before we get into it too much, I do want to let you kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you got going on. We'll save the plugs for the end, but just a quick little Alex moment.
Yeah, man. This has been a great year working with you guys. But started my channel, Dynasty Football Key. Just love the game. So just been putting out my takes all off season and staying with the folks. Been dropping episodes every week. Also doing some pick'em and some team specific content over at the Undroppables. We do a shot of the week for our standout players on our favorite team. So if you want to take a shot, go over there and rep your favorite teams. But yeah, man, doing that and working with Player Profiler all the time. Been awesome working with you, Matt, Theo, the crew, everybody, Dustin, man, great team over here. So it's been a fun year.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff. For those of you who don't know, Alex kind of runs our YouTube behind the scenes a little bit, as well as doing a few other things. Where really, I mean, kind of like myself, a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. We can ask him to fill in a lot of ways, and I just really appreciate all that. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Alex, guys. Get used to this face. He's an incredibly hard worker, super talented, knows his stuff as well. Now, Alex, I can't just gas you up the whole show, so let's get into it. I do want to let you guys know, this has been in the makings for a while, actually. I finally decided, screw it. So we've talked about this before on the show. You guys want a mug, and I get it. I want there to be a mug too. And so I finally made it. It took some time because I didn't want a white mug, and every drop shipping website only allows white mugs. But Zazzle at least has the green inside, so I went with it. So check it out, guys. If you want to get yourself a Wake and Take mug, they are on sale right now at Zazzle for $8.70. And your boy gets 10% of every sale, so I get like 90 cents per mug. So, if you guys want to help your boy out, get some mugs. We've got the logo on both sides, and we've also got a little bit of a good morning with a smiley face, if it'll show. I'm cutting out. Here we go.
There we go. Oh, good morning. Yay, good morning. Good morning. Hey, I like it.
And for those of you looking at this right now, I'm a big triangle in my parentheses smiley face guy. Some people just do the colon parentheses. I like the little triangle. It adds a little zest to me. I like it. So those are the
That's hilarious.
The link is in the live chat.
If you do the one with like the loop, it kind of reminds me of Sonic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the comma, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty goofy.
I like that. And just so you guys know, it's not just mugs. You can get a beer stein.
What?
You can get a travel mug. You can get an even bigger mug. You can get a frosted glass mug. Zazzle's pretty sweet, so go check that out. Get the mug. Link in the chat. Pretty cool stuff. Now,
Wow. Congrats. Can't believe I was here for that. Nice.
You're here for the mug launch. Well, because I was waiting. I wanted I normally have it with me. I really like those camper mugs. They're like the enamel mugs with like the speckles around it. That's what I want. That to me feels like a wake and take mug, but I couldn't find a drop shipping website that could do it. I found like places like I could order myself like 200 of them, but then I would have to be in charge of shipping them. And
Yeah.
Who wants
All right, guys. Go get your mugs, and then once he gets his 90 cents racked up, then he'll get the real deal. We'll level it up.
Thanks, man. So we did have football last night. We'll talk about it real briefly because, well, I want to plug myself. Yesterday about 8 p.m., I was like, before every primetime game, I always like to just make a DraftKings lineup, make an underdog ticket. And well, last night I was killing it. I don't know what I was cooking up, but I actually got 19th out of 38,000 people on the free T-Mobile Road to the Playoffs Showdown Captain, and 7th out of 12,000 in the 10th in the dime package. So
show us that winning team.
Yeah, so check out the team. I turned 10 cents into $29. Here's the team total. Just I don't know why, but I put Tim Patrick in it. Just so lucky.
David Montgomery. God. Wow. Yeah, that 2-touchdown Tim Patrick day that we all predicted. And you didn't have Amon-Ra because he was too expensive, and that bailed you out.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. No Jordan Love either. I went with Montgomery, Jacobs, Goff, Williams, Watson, and Patrick. And fun fact, you guys want to know who beat me? The lineup was almost exactly the same, except instead of David Montgomery as the captain, it was Tim Patrick as the captain and Jahmyr Gibbs instead of Jameson Williams. So,
okay.
But I also made an underdog ticket that underdog didn't let me submit, unfortunately, because I combined the rushing touchdowns with extra points. But it was Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown, David Montgomery touchdown, Jameson Williams over 40 yards, Christian Watson over 40 yards, Tim Patrick over 20 yards, and both the kicker extra point overs. It was going to be 4 for $200. And then underdog was like, you can't combine the extra points. And by the time I went to fix it, it was like 8-16, so I couldn't even do it. I don't know what I was cooking up last night, but
man, I've got a buddy every single week. He will do a David Montgomery and a Jahmyr Gibbs, just anytime touchdown bet, and he's been hitting most of the season pretty much.
Yeah,
I think he's got a Joe Mixon in there too.
Yeah, there are certain bets like that every season. Like last year, I think if you bet the under on every NFL game, you would have made money, which is pretty crazy. And so, yeah, this year I think it's almost opposite, or probably about 50-50. But last year, like 70% of games went under or something like that. But yeah, let's talk about this game, because as you saw, I didn't put Jayden Reed in my lineup. It wasn't that I didn't expect Jayden Reed to do anything, but he had a nothing burger. And Tyler Sperry wants to know what the hell happened. Why did Jayden Reed absolutely doo-doo the bed last night?
Yeah. So one target, no receptions.
Yeah.
And it's just, in a losing effort, you at least know that the coach is going to go back to the drawing board, figure this out. But that's your leading receiver. And Christian Watson, after the fumble, you would have thought, all right, then I'm going to get Jayden Reed involved. Nope. Still no Jayden Reed. It was the Josh Jacobs show, because that's what was working. You guys got to remember that the last time they faced off against each other, Packers also lost that game. So they wanted to come in with a different game plan. But at the same time, at that point, Jordan Love was coming off of an injury and still getting his rhythm back together. So I think they may have overreacted and just got too cute trying to face their division rival here. And you got to get Jayden Reed the ball. He's better than Christian Watson. Watson was getting some work. He was getting some work, but come on.
I am Player Profiler's resident Christian Watson stan, although I think also Bradley Stalter is too, so maybe not the resident. you're probably right. Like, I mean, like if you're building an NFL team, you like the consistency that Jaden Reed brings. But I mean, you got to be honest. The athleticism that Christian Watson has is just undeniable. Like, if you, my favorite thing to do, like Sunday mornings, is watch Christian Watson college highlights. Like, it literally looks like he's playing against high schoolers. And I understand like D2 and all that stuff, but like he's just a different animal, really, when he's healthy. And I am glad that the Packers went back to him after the fumble. I was a bit worried. But it just shows that athleticism, especially for the second half of the season, they just unlock him for some reason. It's nice.
Yeah, Jason, you're a different animal if you're watching Christian Watson highlights every Saturday morning. Oh man!
Not even NFL highlights, just his NDSU highlights. They're fun. Go check them out.
Oh, and the only other thing is, hey, that pick'em that you got right, that was a free pick pool, right? So that's a pro tip to just keep going ahead and making those picks, right? Free.
Oh yeah, the DraftKings always. Yeah. I tell the audience this, not all the time, but I've mentioned it a few times. Always enter the free contests. There's literally zero reason to not enter free contests on DraftKings. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of them every Sunday. Generally there's not Showdown, Captain. I was surprised to see that. Generally, I just enter the dime package. But it's just fun. Who doesn't want another reason to watch the game for like 10 cents, right? Like, it's like, what can you even buy for 10 cents these days? Nothing. Besides a DraftKings lineup for Thursday Night Football. So that's what Jason does. I make ridiculous 7-leg parlays and enter the free and 10-cent contests because I apparently only shoot for the moon. I don't really just, I don't know. I don't know. But it worked this time. Now, that's really, I mean, Thursday Night Football, great game. I was surprised that it ended up being as close. I really thought that the Lions would cover, but they didn't. Doesn't really matter. They won the game. And incredible post-game speech from Dan Campbell. Did you see it?
No, dude.
I'm actually just going to pull it up because it's just hilarious. I
was watching some Dan Campbell highlights of him playing in before the game, actually. Just some throwback.
You can't call me a different animal. Here it is. Here, I'm sharing this, guys. You have to watch this. I'll just show the picture. I can't find the video. This came up, though. But basically, he's giving the post-game speech and just totally stops in the middle of it because Skip is throwing up. And he's like, there you go, Skip. Keep throwing up.
Oh, I bet he loved that.
Oh, he loved it. I love Dan Campbell.
I used to play way back, and hey, honestly, after you throw up, you're good to go. You feel way better.
Oh yeah, in anything, right? Like if you've been drinking too much, pull the trigger. Just go to the toilet, throw up, let's go. Rally, baby, rally. That's what it's all about.
A whole other game.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, like you're feeling sick at midnight, go puke, bud. Rally that shit. We're not done tonight, and that's how Dan Campbell felt after that victory. Great game. Love seeing Jameson Williams getting unlocked again. Love seeing Sam Laporta finally get some usage. Love seeing the D-Mont and Jahmyr Gibbs Sonic Knuckles combo. It's just great. We love Detroit. Are they winning the Super Bowl?
Detroit is winning the Super Bowl, and it's going to be hard because they're going to have to go up against either Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go ahead and say Patrick Mahomes right now. Get that out the way. But that's going to be tough. And we've seen them choke in the NFC Championship game. So we'll see. Jared Goff, he threw another pick. He isn't known for throwing picks, but we've seen him have a 5-pick game. Chiefs have a great defense. So that's going to be what it comes down to, their defense versus Jared Goff. I don't think it even comes down to the run game because Chiefs can play to their opponent's level. So it's not just going to be, the Lions are winning and they're just running the ball. No, they're going to have to put the ball in, Goff's shoulder, and we'll see if he can get it done that way. But overall, this team's just super talented. I'm just sad that they lost so many defenders, not just Aiden Hutchinson. Anzalone broke his arm. They're losing guys on defense. So it's going to be tough, but that's just the nature of the beast. So hopefully they make it. I'm rooting for them out of the NFC.
Yeah, it'll be fun. The wake and take for a minute there was we wanted Eagles-Ravens. But after last week's, it was a good game, but it was just good. I want great in the Super Bowl, so I'm off that now. I want the Lions. I don't know who I want them to go against in the AFC. I guess the Bills. That would be pretty fun. But yeah, I think They're probably making it.
Josh Allen's going to be tough to stop. Mark Grubler got to go through Philly first. Yeah, man, but last season, Philly dropped off at the end. They didn't have Barkley, so that's going to be the key difference. But I've seen them collapse in halves, especially in the Super Bowl. They did that as well. So I need to see a complete game, and that requires having a coach that can get you through a complete game. So I want to see them actually do that. Let's see some playoff wins here. See how it goes.
Should be fun. Last year they lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship, and I do want to talk to you about Isaac Guerendo. They're not making the playoffs this year, but a lot of people are wondering, can I really trust this third string running back for the fantasy playoffs? Like, are we really going with this guy? The wake and take is yes. We love him. The athleticism is undeniable. We've seen it on the football field already. How are you feeling about Guerendo rest of season?
You got to start him, man. Isaac Guerendo, the guy's size, speed, 220 pounds, can run. That's what you want in a running back. That's close to like a Jonathan Taylor size speed comparison almost. This is, this year we haven't had a lot of running back injuries, and I think this is going to just be kind of back to what we're used to in years past, where once the main guy goes down, it's just an opportunity game. This guy Guerendo is getting all the work. Not only is it to where McCaffrey's down and he just got to worry about the other guy. No, the other guy's gone too. So you're bringing in Israel Abanikanda, who doesn't know the playbook and could barely latch onto other teams. You got all these other guys that were not the RB3, got beat out by a rookie. So for me, Isaac Guerendo has everything you need, and he's already scored some touchdowns in this season. So I'm good with Guerendo. I'm starting him everywhere I can, man.
Yep.
And CMC, that was really the only big injury I remember, and he's already gotten injured twice this year. So like at this point, Guerendo, I think he's just ready for the moment. And Kyle Shanahan actually said the same thing last night.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. We've been waiting for it here on Wake and Take. Even unfortunately, this will kind of be a good segue into our next segment. But I had a bad take, a really bad take this offseason, saying to avoid Jordan Mason and get Isaac Guerendo. It just to me, I didn't really want the backup that's an average athlete with no athleticism, especially at the beginning of the year. You want the backup running backs for the second half of the season, and that was my thought process. I was wrong, right? Like Jordan Mason absolutely crushed it and helped a lot of teams. But at least now we have the silver lining and Isaac Guerendo kind of becoming a potential league winner. And this is what we were hoping for. So I'm excited that it is unfolding. And
You're just early.
Huh?
You were just early.
I was way too early. That's what I'm early about everything I learned. Last year, Jameson Williams, I was like, you got to get Jameson Williams. He's going to come back from his suspension and be awesome. Nope, took a year. Ryan Flournoy, 2025, baby.
Oh, man. At least Jonathan Mingo's not good in getting in his way.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not looking great. But whatever. Doesn't matter. I do ask you, I've had some bad takes. We all have bad takes, but it's understandable. That's why we put our head out there. We try our best. Sometimes we're wrong. Most of the time we're right. And I do want to know, this is a little bit of an accountability time, but what was your worst take heading into the season?
Gotta have accountability. I did get into this because I love the takes. I love the people stand on whatever they're talking about. And I was telling people Zamir White would be good. Womp, womp, womp. That did not happen, man.
No.
He even got named the starter in the offseason, but it's pretty rough because we saw the last 4 games of 2023. Every game he was getting 20 touches, and he was balling out. And this year, he just couldn't get it done. And he was never, someone that we measured up to have all these elite traits and things like that. So we're not surprised. But I did hear people giving takes that he wasn't good. And I was like, but he's getting all the work. It's an opportunity game, and he just couldn't get it done. And when Alexander Madison, who people have given up on, was playing well, then what's Zamir White's excuse? You've got Abdullah. You've got everybody except for Dylan Lobby who can perform in that backfield. So it's just rough times.
Yeah, I had also fell for Zamir White. I'm going to be honest with you. And it sucks, especially for me, because I don't really mean it that way, but I literally was never in on Zamir White. Even last year, I was like, it's just with Josh Jacobs, like you would think, like if this was a good running back, he would at least get like 3 carries a game, but they're not giving him the ball ever unless Josh Jacobs gets hurt. So I just didn't think, I was like, he's got no juice. I don't really want him. But then he proves me wrong, right? Josh Jacobs goes down. He gets all the carries and he looks phenomenal. Literally like 90% of the reason Antonio Pierce even got the job was Zamir White. So everything lined up for like, okay, he's going to ride this bell cow end of season into next year. They're going to build this offense around the guy who's like 6 foot tall and fast. He has the nickname Zeus, for God's sake. I mean, like, how do you earn that nickname if you're bad at football? I don't get it. But dude sucks. He's ass. And it sucks. Sucks. I took him in the Wake and Take 32 team league dynasty. I was like, I'm going to get my cornerstone running back.
Yeah. Brutal, man.
No, brutal as hell, man. Brutal as hell. So I don't blame you. I think that was reasonable to be in on. I think a lot of people are in on him. The Raiders in general, right? Like it was a sneaky offense.
Yeah, coach was. But the best gift he gave us is that we were able to get out early. It was very clear early it wasn't happening. So
yeah, I mean, I traded him for Jalen Polk. I still don't know how I feel.
Yeah,
I was excited when I did it.
I didn't have a strong take on Polk, but I did like Polk. So maybe give him time because I like Drake May.
We'll see. I don't know. I did it literally like the week after he caught his first touchdown or something like that. He was starting to get like 4 or 5 targets a game. And then he had like the 0-point game like immediately after I traded for him, and he hasn't done shit since. So it's my fault. Everyone listening that is mad at Jalen Polk, it's because I finally got him. So you can blame me.
Well, I'm excited to see his teammate finally get a start, Michael Penix. Ooh, we'll save that for later.
Maybe. We hope so. We got your worst take. What's your best take? I'm not going to make you L laugh. Let's get a W in here.
Yeah, talking about W's, Jaden Daniels for Washington Commanders. That's someone that I had a great take on because I was talking about him being a steal, and I was shocked that people were not in on this guy as and I'm talking redraft right now. Dude, I went on a lot of shows and I had a lot of guests. And so I was getting people's take on this. And I was just shocked that he wasn't higher than he should have been because basically I was laying out my draft plan was going to be how I handled Lamar Jackson's rookie season, where I drafted Dak in the 8th round as my safety blanket option. And then Lamar in the 9th round as my wait and see, running back cheat code upside. And that panned out, obviously. And then this year I was saying, get Matt Stafford as your safe quarterback and Jaden Daniels as your QB, just so you can get that late round QB, but still have some floor and ceiling. Mm-hmm. And that hit. But it's not like we're surprised. The guy's a great runner and he has an arm. Like, yes, he's exceeding expectations, but for fantasy, we are always going after these rushing quarterbacks. So I don't know why he wasn't going much higher than he was.
No, I also started noticing that. I wasn't as bold as I should have been. I was taking him as kind of my second quarterback, like with like a CJ Stroud for some reason. I don't know why. But my take, at least on this show, was if you got Caleb Williams, this is an excellent opportunity because for some reason right now you could take Caleb Williams and get Jaden Daniels plus, who has the same ceiling, higher floor. And I didn't understand why there was such a discrepancy between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels because as I talked about a lot, I hate the Bears coaching staff. I had no faith that Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron could do a thing. I had no faith. And so I was like, sell Caleb Williams. We don't want him. Get Jaden Daniels if you want a rookie. Get Drake May for all I care, right? Like, there's just no reason. Caleb Williams is turning into a stud again, now that the coaching staff's gone. But you really had an excellent opportunity heading into this year if you were bold enough on Jaden Daniels to get a guy who at one point, like week 6 through like 8, he was the dynasty QB1 on Keep Trade Cut. I think he's fallen back down to like QB3, 4, but still, I mean, he's phenomenal. This Commanders team, I mean, they have nothing. Like no one expected them to be this good. And it's I would say almost more impressive than the Texans, for example, because the Texans had some pieces, right? Like heading in, like they had the whole thing with Davis Mills where they ended up winning games and going to overtime with like the Chiefs and actually started looking good on defense with like Jalen Petrie stepping up and they just got Singletary and they were, the pass rush was building. So there was actually pieces in Houston, but there was nothing in Washington, literally just Terry McLaurin. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally just Terry McLaurin. Like, they traded away their best defender to Chicago last year. So, really impressive. From Dan Quinn to Cliff Kingsbury to Jaden Daniels. Really good call. And it's nice to see. Really, really nice to see.
Rookie of the year, yes or no?
Yeah. I know that Bo Nix is making it a contest, but it's gonna go to Jaden Daniels. I'm sure a lot of were sent in like weeks ago. Plus, they're back on track, right? They just beat the Titans.
Yeah.
Looking good again. Going to try to make the playoffs. It's fun. I mean, they're literally like, it is almost identical what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are doing and what the Broncos and Bo Nix are doing. Like, same record, same spot in the playoff race, everything. So it's really, really interesting. But yeah, I think Jaden Daniels wins the Rookie of the Year just because he's just more fun at the end of the day. And that, that's what
it is electric. And if people are voting, they're going with something exciting, and a winning team kind of helps too. Right now, the record for the Bears, so.
Yeah. So I see a couple more here. I see the Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, man. And we didn't really talk about him in that Green Bay game, but that's, I mentioned that's who they were going to, but 3 touchdowns, not like we're expecting that every week. But I did have Austin Abbott on my show, who's been on Player Profiler with you guys, and, he's great. But I was just like, because we were asking each other who's, a running back that we think is, ranked too low, because it was one of my ranking shows. And Jacobs, I just felt like he was going to get all the work. We had Marshawn Lloyd down, and either way, he was a rookie. And then also his history of always getting a good workload, but then you're inserted into a good offense, not the Raiders. So it was just kind of teed up. But unfortunately, it really wasn't working out that way the first half of the season, to where he was just dominating. He had 2 20-point games, and I was able to trade for him after or during the bye week that they had, which worked out pretty well, because right before the bye week, he had like 12 points because they barely gave him the ball in that game. But every game since the bye week, he's had 20-plus points, which has been pretty crazy. And they're just feeding this guy. So that's one of the guys you just got to ride the hot hand on. And also Jacoby Myers, that was one that I had where really, in my Player Profiler league that I met a lot of you guys at, Myers, this was a guy who, in a 2 tight end league, I was able to trade Brandon Ayuk, the 201, which became Jonathan Brooks, for Saquon Barkley and Jacoby Myers and a third, which became Theo Johnson. So for me, those are just like some guys who were coming from the Raiders, still getting some good workload, but just slept on for one reason or another. So just some really good guys that I feel like for the preseason you can have some good takes on. It looks like we might have lost Jason. He'll be back though, guys. Don't worry. And I don't know if we got his best take. We might get it here in a moment. But I would say one of the players that was a big, big surprise for me is actually Terry McLaurin, who I know we just talked about Jaden Daniels, but we just haven't seen that really explosive season from Terry McLaurin yet. And we know what the reason is. It's because they don't have a quarterback. They finally got a quarterback, guys. And even though Terry McLaurin is a little bit older, I think he's in a spot where he could actually go ahead and crush for many more years to come. What's going on, Jason?
My computer crashed.
Yeah, but Jason's one of the best hosts, and he had already warned me this was going to happen. I don't know how you predict these things, but he did.
I run into technical difficulties all the time. And so, before the show, I literally told Alex, hey, something might happen, so be prepared to talk. And it sounds like you killed it, so thank you. And luckily, I have had this happen before with a guest, with Alan Seslowski, of all people. Right. This happened, and I learned I could do it from my phone. So we're chilling, not that stressed.
Sir. Yeah, I had added on Jacoby Myers as one of my preseason takes, but then I had jumped into Terry McLaurin as my biggest surprise. Cortland Sutton was one of them as well, and part of it was just because they're having these career highs with the rookie quarterbacks. So that was why it was a huge surprise to me. But who's been a big surprise, good or bad, for you?
I don't know why I'm not prepared to answer my own question that I asked you, but I would say negatively, just the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was pretty excited for Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne this season. And really only Brian Thomas Jr. ended up being anything at all. And even then, he's lost a lot of steam now over the last few weeks. So that would probably be my big surprise, is just how bad the Jaguars are. Otherwise, I feel like I feel like I ran pure this offseason.
Nice. Okay. I can't check the tape. It's too much tape. Too many ways.
There is too much tape. That is one beautiful thing, is I not only is it too hard to fact check me, I've said so many things that I could just be like, yeah, I said that.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
So cool. Let me change this overlay because I can't on my phone change it very frequently. We're just going to have the generic one. So we've done our season accountability. Great job. Thank you for holding the fort down while I figured out my technical difficulties. Let's head on to week 14. Big week. This is the week before most fantasy playoffs. Some leagues have, for some reason, I posted, you've seen these league winner TikToks to Instagram, Shorts, TikTok. And so many people commented like, oh, my trade deadline's been off for weeks, like, oh. Shut up. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're heading into a huge week. And I am curious. We've got a couple questions for you. First, out of the games this week, do you have an upset prediction?
Yeah. Cowboys Monday night against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the Cowboys' chance to win this game. Right now, they're plus 5.5 underdogs. So that's I would call upset territory. And the crazy thing is, Cowboys have a better record, 5-7 versus 4-8. I don't know if you guys have been watching the new Hard Knocks, the AFC North in season, but Bengals are on there, so check that out. That's been fun. But 49.5 over under. They're expecting this to be one of the highest scoring games of the week. And one of the reasons is because the Bengals and the Cowboys are number 1 and number 2 in most points allowed. Bengals being the worst in the league, allowing the most points. So it's two defenses that have allowed a lot of points. However, Dallas Cowboys are coming back healthy. The reason the Cowboys are so awful is because of injuries. Yes, injury to Dak Prescott, but also Micah Parsons was out for a while. Deron Bland was out for a while. By the way, that's a guy who set the NFL record for most interceptions as a rookie. This guy's good. Everyone's been out for these guys on the defense, and they're coming back, and they're healthy, and they've been playing well immediately. So I think Micah Parsons, for one, can get to Joe Burrow. On the Hard Knocks show, they even showed the Steelers lineman getting around the edge and just blowing up the really stiff and tall lineman that the Bengals have, because the guy's just too big and can't really deal with freak athletes. And Parsons is the freak athlete. So I've got Parsons blowing up your guy Burrow, and they're going to win this game, even with Cooper Rush, who has beaten Joe Burrow and the Bengals in the past when he had to start for Dak Prescott once upon a time in 2022. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll be honest, I actually did pick up Cooper Rush in a 2QB league. I'm in a 10-team free league with some friends, and for some reason, I did terribly planning. Terribly. I did so terribly. My 3 quarterbacks are all on bye this week. The most important week of the season. All 3 of my quarterbacks in a 2QB, not Superflex. 2QB. But I am confident that Cooper Rush can put up points. I think this will be a shootout. I am going with the Bengals. I unfortunately really love the Bengals, and I think that they are the most snake-bitten team this season. They should be in the playoffs. This is a playoff team. They just keep falling on the other end of a loss, unfortunately. And it's so tough to watch because Jamar Chase is so much fun. T. Higgins is finally playing well. Joe Burrow is finally playing well. The defense is fine. They're giving up points, but they're fine. They're a playoff team.
Playing like MVP. He's playing like MVP, Burrow.
I know. It's it sucks to watch.
Yeah,
it sucks.
He might
take
losing.
I know, might take week 4. I think the Bengals had started off 0-3 or whatever. Or they just didn't look good, and I was they're winning the Super Bowl. They're just going to get hot at the end of the season, and they're just going to win the playoff games. They're not even making the damn playoffs. It pisses me off because this is a good team, and I do think Bengals in the playoffs would make noise. They would beat the Chiefs. I think they'd beat the Chiefs.
Yeah. And we know they've done it before. They've had that slow start and made it to the promised land. But yeah, man, the crazy part is, even though I'm picking Cowboys, I made a bet with the Podfather that Chase Brown was going to outscore Dowdle. So I still have some belief that the Bengals are going to be up, although Chase Brown does get a lot of work in the passing game. So either way, I think I'm safe in that bet, but we'll see what happens. I might owe my father a shirt.
I think you are too. I think so too. Now, the next question. Give us one start or sit, either way.
Yeah, I'm going Ridley. Calvin Ridley. Okay. It looks like the best playoff schedule belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who unfortunately brutally lost their quarterback again. So I'm sorry, I'm tripping right now. Calvin Ridley is playing against his former team. So I think this is going to be a huge revenge game for him. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see them just pour it on, even though they're going to be beating these guys probably handedly with Mac Jones behind center.
Mac Jones, McCorkle looked pretty good last week. We'll see.
Yeah, he got his 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that call, especially I always love revenge game narratives. And I mean, Titans are playing better. Will Levis is playing better. The volume's there. So that's a fun little start right there. Ryan has a really good one. If you've got Jaden Reed, you should definitely sit him this week. Something tells me he's going to get 0. I don't know why. I just kind of feel it about Jaden Reed this week. So if you've got him, you should sit him. Now, let's move on to the playoffs. As we mentioned, this is a huge week. We don't care too much. Most people have already clinched it or are already out. Some people are on the bubble, but they're figuring it out. Let's look ahead to the playoffs. I did an episode this week kind of talking the best targets by position to try to get on your team for their playoff schedule. So what's one player that you're looking for in the fantasy playoffs that you would recommend trying to get?
Yeah, so you got to get these running backs to somehow staying healthy. Hopefully the luck doesn't run out. But I think it's got to be my favorite player, Alvin Kamara, because unfortunately we lost Taysom Hill. Pour one out for our guy. But yeah, man, Kamara's in a good spot. He has only had one receiving touchdown. That's unfortunate. 6 on the ground rushing. I think the rest of the season he has at least one touchdown per game. And he's going to be a part of the passing game in a big way. He's leading the league for running backs and pass catches, pretty normal when he's not suspended. So he's going to keep doing that, and he's going to get a ton of work, man.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara was one I mentioned as well. It's a decent schedule. It's not a great schedule, but for a player like Alvin Kamara, we don't care too much. And it's good enough. They're all competitive games with playoff implications. Love the Alvin Kamara Funko Pop. Very cool. Very nice. So that's one I totally agree with. He's just going to get a ton of volume. As you mentioned, no Taysom Hill. I mean, are they going to give the ball to Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Bub Means, or Alvin Kamara? And I think it's pretty obvious who they're going to give the ball to more often than not. So that's a bet that you should definitely be making. What about a player you'd be avoiding? Who are you scared of for the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, scared of Breece Hall, man. So Jets and the Raiders have 258 rushing attempts, which is the least amount in the entire NFL. And although Breece Hall's 4th amongst running backs in receptions with 46, the last 5 weeks he's only had 14 catches, which is 2.8 per game. Whatever, call it 3. But even worse, last week he had 0 catches. So on a low run volume pass team, even Isaiah Davis had 3 catches this past week, getting in the way, and he had a touchdown on one of those. And you got Braylon Allen, a young guy that we like sharing the workload. So the fact that he's not getting a lot of receiving work and the Team Vegas odds project him to be down in the game script, that scares me.
Yeah, I admittedly put him in the playoff targets because I kind of like the Jets schedule, especially that Bills matchup in the championships. But that injury is terrifying. And as the Jets kind of look to shut down the season, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to hear we're starting to shut down Breece Hall. And so that would be awful. That's why a lot of people are starting to mention, like Dio in particular, is like, get Braylon Allen. I'm going to say the same thing. I think one of the Jets in general, I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. I specifically mentioned Devontae Adams as well, as he's kind of come to life in terms of his target volume over the last few weeks, because it's a fun schedule for the Jets to end the year. But you're right to be worried about Breece Hall. Things just don't seem like he doesn't seem like Breece Lightning right now.
Yeah, if that happens sooner, if it happens soon, then let's see how Garindo does. If Garindo's just okay and then Breece is benched, then maybe you can trade Braylon Allen to get Garendo, because like I said, it's still a low run volume offense for the Jets. So even if it is Braylon Allen, I'm not expecting a ton of points from these guys.
That's an awesome call.
I'd still be trying to pivot off out of that situation for this year.
That's an awesome call.
Because Brees is going to be back next year.
Yeah, that's one of the best things to do in general, and that's why we mention all the time to roster handcuff running backs. It's not just so you can get a starter. It's also because they gain value. In one of my leagues this year, I picked up Carson Steele and swapped him for Ray Davis. Just go on the handcuff sweepstakes. You know what I mean? Like, you just do it. As one gets volume, go for the other one that's gonna get volume later. There's just no point in holding on to a player like a Braylon Allen when you can get a Garendo. So that's a cool call,
dude. I had, the hype was up there on Carson Steele. I was making graphics for my ranking show with Carson Steele on the alligator. People were hyped up on this guy. Sell while you can.
Yeah, exactly. And you can kind of tell when it's more hype than substance, and I felt like Carson Steele, people just really kind of latched on to the person more so than the player.
Shoot, I even picked up a Hunt and then flipped him for a second. Yep. And I see a hot take: Brees gets traded during the 25 draft. Whew.
That is a hot take. That now the Dynasty Warzone, they mentioned getting Braylon Allen because they think that something like that could happen, or Braylon Allen could get traded as well, which is pretty interesting. They said it was kind of like a Michael Turner, LaDainian Tomlinson situation, which I like that.
All right.
I like that. People be thinking at Player Profiler, and that was one of those thoughts. I was like, that's an interesting thought. So those are some kind of targets for the playoffs as well as an avoid. But what about the teams that aren't making the playoffs? Right now, they're rebuilding. They're looking towards next year or even 2026 or 2027 if they're really bad. What do you have any advice for them? Maybe players to target, or just therapy session?
And you said earlier the people that are hating on the trade talk, yes, some leagues deadline was in the past, but not all leagues, especially not in Dynasty. I'm in leagues with no trade deadline, and we've had to add a deadline in one league with all new people because they were so used to the old way. It is what it is. Some people are old school, but anyway, even though a lot of the deadlines are this week, 14. If you can trade some of those vets off your team, do that. Even if it's in a package deal, something like that. Otherwise, I'm stashing upside players. I remember a few years back stashing Jake Ferguson around this time of the year.
Yeah.
And we had mentioned Zamir White earlier. As much of a bust pick that was, I picked him up for free the year before in Dynasty, just sitting there on waivers, and then he had his little run that helped me in that moment, and I was able to then flip him in the offseason. So even if it didn't work out in the regular season, there's time for you to get out on these guys. And in some leagues, it depends on how deep and shallow, but I saw in the league, Noah Gray was available, picked him up, because there's a lot of people trying to win now, not really thinking it was consistent, the 2 touchdown games he was having. But maybe he is something even more when Kelsey retires, but he's producing right now. That's the guy. I even do IR stashes
yes.
Gardner Minshew got dropped. It's just Minshew, but you never know. He ended up starting a lot this year. I picked up Sam Darnold years back when he was dropped, and now he's the number 8 quarterback. But you can stash a guy who's injured, put him in your IR, something like that. And Rasheen Ali, that's a running back, even though they're on bye. Maybe a reason someone may have dropped them, but look, there is a lot of healthy running backs this year, but a one more year older with a lot more carries, Derrick Henry in 2025, you never know what could happen. And we did see Justice Hill sign a contract this year, but it's just a couple more seasons for him. And we've seen all the Ravens get injured in that backfield, not just once. We've seen it 2 years in a row with the previous regime in Gus and J.K. Dobbins. So that could happen to anybody. That's a young guy. Stash some of these young rookies that are available. And sometimes I like the tight ends just because there's usually more available since people don't really care as much about that position. Just keep stashing those young guys. Devon Vele, if Marvin Mims is available.
Roy Franklin. Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
Roman Wilson's a fun one. Javon Baker, I've been scratching my head at. He didn't do anything this year, but the Patriots wide receiver room probably changes. Jacob Cowing, I'm going to say no to, Dustin. I'm going to say no to Jacob
Hasn't Cowing had a chance this year? Like
He
everyone's been
got
hurt.
rehurt. I mean, he's good. I mean, I know they're going to extend Juwan Jennings if they haven't already. That slipped my mind. But
They are.
I don't know. I was the don't get Ricky Pearsall guy. I have come around. He's just too much of a dog, but his production has fallen off a cliff. So there is definitely still room for someone else. I don't think both Ayuk and Debo will be there next year. Probably Debo is gone. So, I mean, there is an opportunity. I just don't know if it'll be Cowing. I just feel like he's more of a role player that you're just hoping for injuries over his career, which is fine, right? Like there's a place for that in the NFL. But I think for our fantasy team, maybe not. Maybe. Kendre Miller, Blake Corum, any of these backup running backs that lost a lot of value as well. Pretty fun. You could try this trade for Stephon Diggs. I'm sure he's going to be fine next year.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
Olave,
Olave. We could go on for hours. Too many people. If you're rebuilding, just really think about it. Check your waiver wire. Check the trade block. Check your the teams that are in the playoffs. Check their IR spots. Maybe you could trade them like an Adam Thielen for a Hollywood Brown.
Yeah. And this is the second by apocalypse, so they're probably hurting at some position.
Yeah, for sure.
So
go check that out, guys.
Quarterback situation too.
Yeah, no one as bad as that. I still can't believe it. Whatever. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Anthony Richardson. By the way, I don't know how I got that.
I have a Jaden Daniels, Stroud, Richardson, and Rush as the backup. So there we go.
All right, man. Let's get into it. Your hot take for the rest of the season. What you got?
Alvin Kamara is the RB1 in December. 59 receptions, number one, like I said, but doesn't have a lot of TDs. They're coming.
Oh, yeah. He's going to have one of those. I mean, like, he's the 5-touchdown guy. I guarantee one game by the end of the season, he'll have 3+ touchdowns. It's coming. We're going to get an Alvin Kamara hat trick, faux show.
Yeah, a Christmas hat trick again.
Woo! Dangerous. Winning too many championships with that. Fun take. This was a very fun episode. Very much enjoyed chopping it up with you, man. Let the audience know where they can find you, what you're working on, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, Dynasty Football Key on YouTube, at Dynasty F Key on Twitter, X. I'm doing the Dynasty stock market on Player Profiler News with at Big Boned FFB. Big's over there. We just had Evan Ringler on as a guest, breaking down the stats. But just keeping up with the pulse of the market, how players trade values are going up and down. And also over on the Undroppables, doing Cowboys Uncovered. We cover every team in the NFL over there, not from a fantasy perspective, just straight NFL talk. A lot of clips and highlights and stuff like that. And everybody subscribe. Player Profiler News, Fast Draft is we're getting new content on there as well. So that's going to start getting built out. So go help us out. We got all these subscribers here. Help us out over there. And just found out folks are going to have media passes over at the Super Bowl and Senior Bowl. So come say hi to us over there.
Yeah. The Senior Bowl media credential application just opened yesterday. And if any of you are listening and you're just like, hey, I would like to go to the Senior Bowl, but I don't think I'll get credentialed. You'll get credentialed. It is very, very, it's pretty easy to get a Senior Bowl credential. If you're at all interested, just go to the Senior Bowl media section, apply. We'd be happy to see you. It's a really cool event. I got the privilege to go there earlier this year. Awesome campus. Cool little city in Mobile as well. I was actually blown away. It's like a clean New Orleans. So that was interesting. I recommend it. So check it out, guys. If any of you are, aspiring content creators, or even just want to lay your eyes on some of these prospects, I can't recommend it enough. And it's a pretty simple process. Yeah, we'll be there.
Hey, is Jaden Reed droppable for Elijah Moore? Tyler Sperry asked.
No, I mean, you want to get Elijah Moore, but not at the cost of Jaden Reed. Unfortunately,
that was a fluke. That was a fluke game.
Fluke game. It happens. Some wide receivers, they just, it's not in the game plan, or they are defensively game planned away. Just how it goes. And unfortunately, Jaden Reed got kind of shut out last night. Alan Moore seemed the Packers planned it that way, but whatever. they lost. And as you said, that might lead them to just say, okay, maybe we do need to get this guy the ball more. So anyway, guys, make sure you follow Alex. His Twitter handle, Dynasty F Key, is in the description. You can also find his YouTube channel, Dynasty Football Key. Awesome content over there. Keep an eye out for his content here on Player Profiler as well. And everyone, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you have a fantastic Friday, a wonderful weekend, and good luck in Week 14. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.